Not Quite
Darkness
is a podcast that contains spoilers, opinions, and general. Listener discretion is advised.
Gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, members of the Chowder Society, welcome back to another episode of Not Quite Darkness. My name is Keith Brooks. Here with me, as always, is Mr. Chad Dowdy, looking dapper, sir. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Like you said, I'm a part of the Chowder Society. We'll get into it a little bit, but yeah, I'm dressed for the occasion.
Absolutely. So that's Chad's a member of the Chowder Society, just like the Kennedys. Means he's killed a woman when he was younger and has run from it.
Spoilers.
Yeah. Welcome back to the show, Not Quite Darkness. Here's what we do. We are following the documentary In Search of Darkness. There are 97 parts of it. And each one lists 4,000 movies. And we're watching all of those movies from the 80s, all horror films. We are still on the year 1981. It's been 6 presidential administrations while we've been watching movies from 1981, but it's been a lot of fun. And Chad, what are we watching today?
From 1981, as you said, Ghost Story.
Ghost Story, starring Fred Astaire, Douglas Fairbanks Jr., one guy in 2 different roles, that one lady who you've seen everywhere. Chad, what was the story of Ghost Story? Had you ever seen this before?
No, it was the first time watch for me. I do remember the poster at the video store growing up because I thought the poster looked cool. It was just a black poster with like a black and white house, a small black and white house, very minimalist poster.
Yeah.
So I always thought it was kind of cool, but never
I
watched
also
it.
feel a very misleading poster.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think the house has, I mean, I guess there is a house in this movie, but it has fucking barely anything to do with this movie. So
Barely.
But it is a nice poster. It is cool. I don't think I ever saw the poster. I knew there was a Ghost Story that came out like a couple years ago with Casey Affleck, but I think that's a Ghost Story. And this
that's what Rob thought we were watching, by the way.
Oh, yeah, that's fine.
So, have you seen this before?
No, this is the first time. I think I probably had heard of it through the doc when I watched the documentary because there were parts of it that were vaguely familiar, but I never watched it. And yeah, it's I guess we'll dive into it. We'll talk about it. I have a lot of thoughts.
Yep, we'll dive right in. So the movie starts with, multiple old men just having nightmares.
Which is the way it should be. Old white men should have nightmares regularly.
Especially over this,
yes.
As far as it is. And then, we get to the opening credits, it's Fred Astaire. And I was like, whoa, I can't believe Fred Astaire is in this, but like it's horror movie.
Yeah.
I know he's in other things other than, back in the day, musicals, just straight musicals and stuff. But yeah, it was pretty wild to see Fred Astaire.
Yeah. And Douglas Fairbanks Jr., like that was sort of impressive to me. Melvin Douglas, Alice Cridge, who is in tons of stuff now. John Houseman, that's fucking incredible. Anyway, sorry, go ahead. Keep talking.
Yeah, and then so now they're all awake because they are all meeting, and one dude, they're all wearing tuxes. One dude is telling a story about a guy being buried alive. What's funny about that though, the guy telling the story is the same guy that tells the story at the beginning of The Fog.
Yeah.
So it's a nice little touch,
yeah.
I think. But the people telling the story are, as you said earlier, the Chowder Society. Just a bunch of old dudes that have probably done a lot more worse things than what we find out in the movie, quite frankly.
Yeah, I'm sure.
I just feel like it.
Anytime you name yourself after the whitest soup known to man, and there's no chowder anywhere in the movie. But that's fine. That's fine. Yeah.
Is this set in New England? I don't really know where it's.
I think it's got to be like the Chowder Society thing, and the overall movie itself to me feels very Stephen Kingish without being Stephen King. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like it constantly feels like it's about to be a Stephen King movie, but never quite gets there.
Yeah, so they just, I guess they're just a group. They get together and they just tell stories.
Yeah.
That's the whole deal. Um, and so then we cut to um, a guy in his apartment, and there's a naked girl in his bed, and he's like, who are you? Like, it's weird, especially in the context of knowing what happens. The fact that he's questioning this, and she's like, I am you. And he turns her over. She's got like a messed up, face, like a ghost face or whatever. And he falls out of the skyrise window.
Full penis on display, flapping in the wind.
A lot of
Just
penis action for
a lot
sure.
of penis action.
I mean, wow.
What a
And
way to start a film.
I'm telling you, and he's dead. So
Yeah.
he's dead. Uh, then we meet our actual main character, Donnie, who we find out that was actually his twin brother that fell out of the window. Hard to tell though, because his twin brother had a mustache. Donnie does not.
Yeah.
Very important.
Mhm.
So Donnie comes back home because his brother is dead, but he doesn't think his brother's death was an accident. And we come to find out later why. Because, watching this again, this first time watching the beginning, I was like, well, he's really jumping to a conclusion here that, it's not an accident. Like, what does he know?
And just seems like such a douchebag. His dad is a member of the Chowder Society. Chowder Society are four affluent, wealthy old men. One's a lawyer, one's a doctor, one's the mayor. I don't know what the other one is. And he's sitting at dinner with his dad, coming to be at the funeral of his brother, and he's like, I fucked his fiance.
Yeah.
just
What?
like, out
It's
of
really
nowhere.
unnecessary to tell your father that,
Yeah.
hey, your son, the twin, which it got me thinking though, how often do you think that happens? If you're identical twins.
Oh, all the time, especially if you're like a moralist heathen like this motherfucker is as an English teacher or whatever.
Clearly. So, after the funeral, he comes back, he wakes his dad up. His dad's having a nightmare. Anytime these old dudes go to sleep, they're having a nightmare. And we start to kind of see like what they're seeing in their nightmare. And, and this one is like the dad's dreaming of a wedding with a ghostly bride. And like everybody's there. Then like back to reality, the dad wakes up and he's just kind of stumbles out of the house in his robe, and he's just not really with it. He's just walking through. I mean, it's snow's on the ground. He's not wearing, a snow outfit, clearly something's wrong. And he's at a bridge, and he like turns, and there's like a ghostly woman that like is there or something. It startles him and he falls over the bridge.
Yeah. And then it seems like a truck driver who just witnesses the vast majority of the deaths in this movie stops to see what's happening, doesn't really do anything. But then it seems like the ghostly woman is there in a corner laughing at what happens, which is just odd. But yeah.
Sure. And this is the second fall in this movie, and both falls look terrible. I know it's 1981, but it looks terrible.
Well, this one has less penis, though. I will say that
there is less penis. You are correct. Still not a good look. So Donnie's going through, I guess, his father's stuff now. He's just lost his twin brother, his father, and he's going through the stuff, and he finds a picture of the society when they were younger. And there's a girl in the picture, and you can't really see her face because I guess something's wrong with the exposure. Yeah. Her face is like all washed out. And Donnie looks like he's seen the most amazing thing in his entire life, the way he's acting, just with this random picture of his dad and three buddies and a random girl that you can't see her face. That's very important, because if you could see her face, you could see why he's acting this way.
Yeah.
But you can't see her face. So he is just this is wild. This is the most insane picture I've ever seen in my entire life. Almost like he's never seen like Polaroids before or something. It's Then Fred Astaire goes to like the abandoned house, I guess, from the poster that you're talking about. He goes to a house and there's squatters there. And I don't know what the squatters like kind of threaten him or something. Like, I don't even get
It's
this.
again a very Stephen Kingish squatter system because it reminds me of the kid from It, has like as he obeys Pennywise, but it's like this weird like leather jacket greaser who has a feral child that he says is his little brother, but it feels like he's molesting this fucking kid. And they're like, we work for the big lady upstairs, see? And I don't know. And then they're going to stab him or show him what the lady does. I don't know.
And really, the kid part doesn't mean anything. It has
At
nothing
all.
to do with this film.
Nothing.
Like, it's so wild that that's what they chose.
The kid shows up again for a split second, but then that greaser shows up and does more stuff, but the kid is just absent for some reason.
Yeah, I didn't get that at all.
I have no idea.
So Fred Astaire, goes to the police I guess to say they're squatters in this abandoned house. I don't even know. But like he's looking at mugshots. And it's so funny because the mugshot of the squatter, he's wearing the exact same outfit.
Yeah, like he only has that. That's all he owns.
It's like a toboggan, the jacket. It's like they literally just took the picture earlier that day and then shot the scene because that's what happened, just so you know. And they identify him, but like to no end, it doesn't really
affect anything,
lead to anything.
He keeps just doing shit uninterrupted throughout the rest of the movie.
Yes, like totally. Then he shows up the squatter shows up at Donnie's house and gives him a necklace. Like, again, it's just, I don't know if you've noticed it yet. I'm not a fan of this movie.
Really? That's crazy.
We make fun of movies that we like, but this one, I'm not a fan of it.
Has one of the, because I know old guy with a cane dies.
Fred Astaire has a cane as well.
Well, I think they all have canes at some point, but one of Rob Prago's peers in this movie died. But has he died yet, or does he die after the dad?
I don't think he's dead yet.
Okay.
Because Fred Astaire tells the other two guys that Donnie has the picture of her.
That's right.
And so they're kind of like, they don't know what to do really, because Donnie's got this picture. And then Donnie shows up and he wants to join the Chowder Society.
And I think he wants to join it just so he gets the answers, but it doesn't even play that way. It's just like, I really want to be a member of this club. Why? Why the fuck do you want to be a member of old?
He's not even wearing a tux. What the hell, dude?
Yeah.
It's not even cool.
Get with it, Donnie. You fucking hippie. Cut your hair.
But what's so funny is, they have two rules. One is implied. The first rule is you have to tell a story to join. Second rule, you can't be black. That's going to be my guess. Just merely a guess.
Yeah.
I just don't think so. It's just crazy rich white people stuff. That's all it is.
All it is. Yeah.
So Donnie's going to tell a story of when he was professor. The structure of this movie is all over the place. It is wild because now I feel like I'm not exaggerating. We get 30 minutes now of this story.
Yeah, like 100%.
We're like 45, 50 minutes into this movie. And we're now get like 30 minutes of what happened.
Yeah. And now the psychiatrist from A Nightmare on Elm Street 3 is going to tell us about all the times he banged this one chick and skipped out on work.
So he's a professor. Donnie is back in the day. And he meets Alice Craig, the board queen herself.
You say back in the day. It was like 4 weeks ago. It's not like this was a long time ago.
I guess so. He does look the same, but he meets her and he's like immediately smitten, like immediately.
Chad hates this movie, so he's skipping over a lot of elements. He is fucking this other teacher, and while he's holding her hand, meets this lady, the board queen, who's like, I'm jumping ship. I'm going to
He's even like, I feel like he's asking his current girlfriend about her. He's like, oh, who's that? I'm enamored with her. Tell me more about her.
Donnie, hide your erection, please, while you're talking to me.
It's like unbelievable.
Yeah.
So he asks her out and they go out. They hook up. Then they go to church. They hook up. They're in the bathtub. They hook up. They're just, hooking up all over the place.
All over the place.
Yeah. And, we get a lot. I know we had penis earlier, but we get a lot of the Borg Queen's boobs.
Absolutely, which I'm not complaining about. He even fingers her in a restaurant. I think that's the first time I've said that on this podcast, but that's what happens. And surprisingly, this is the complicated age gap relationship of the film.
That is true. And so I don't know how much time has passed, but it's revealed that they're going to get married, and she wants to go back to his childhood home to get married. And she's acting weird. She's, sleepwalking or sleep talking, whatever you want to call it. And he's almost immediately like, I don't want to get married anymore. Like, I just put yourself in this guy's shoes, Keith. Yeah. You were enamored with her. You hooked up all the time. She's sleepwalking a little bit, and now he's just calling it off.
But she is like reciting weird poetry.
But she's asleep. Is she not?
I don't know. She looks like she's awake, and she's like
what I mean is she's not acting normal. It almost seems like she is like
in a trance,
sleepwalking. It's really what it seems like.
To me, it's like a trance thing, but she is nude a lot and willing to have sex with me a lot. So I'll be like,
a lot.
We can get married in my childhood home. We can crawl in my mother's womb and get married if that's what it takes. That's fine.
And it's funny how he calls it off too, because it's such a classic like guy thing, just all acting like, yeah, whatever. Like I don't know how into you. Well, we had a good time, but it's fine. Yeah. I don't really want to get married anymore. That's it.
Yeah.
And he breaks it off with her. And then like, again, I don't know how much time has passed because it's a little confusing, but then his twin brother who died earlier, calls him. And his twin brother's talking about some dude. His twin brother's talking about some chick that he's hooking up with or whatever. And it turns out it is Alma, the Borg Queen.
Yeah.
And Donnie goes crazy and he says something like, she's not real. Like, well, that's what he says.
But even before that, the twin brother is like, she says she's not who you think she is. You have the wrong idea about her. And I think he also gets fired from his job at this point, right? Because he goes in to see her and she didn't show up for work today.
Yes. Oh, yeah, because he's been like, I feel
missing classes.
Yeah, because he's been with her all the time.
Yeah.
That's what it is. He's been missing class and all that stuff because they're just always together all the time.
Yeah.
So, but I just don't understand like how he's, again, she's sleepwalking. He breaks it off with her. And now he's immediately jumping to like, she's not real. Like, I feel like we missed something.
Yeah. Yeah. There should have been a couple more occurrences that happened, that
like maybe she walked through him, like phased through him,
or through a wall or something like that, or knew his
something
father's name without him saying it, something weird,
because again, yes, it is weird that she's in a trance, but it's not weird I'm going to not marry you and you're not a real person.
If I've been missing my job for you, it's going to take a little bit more than you acting like you're stoned for me to throw you to the curb.
Exactly.
Especially when you're Borg Queen hot. You know what I mean? Like,
yes.
If you're so hot that even shaving your head and putting robotic nipples on you and you're still fuckable, like, yeah, you win. Come on in.
She's still hot as the Borg Queen. That's absolutely true. Absolutely. And so now we're back to the present. That's the end of the story. I guess he's a member of the Chowder Society now. But after the meeting, this is the doctor that you were talking about. He has a nightmare and he tries to kill his wife.
That's right. Yeah.
And then he gets up and has a heart attack, I guess. He sees her or something, or
he goes to his wife comes to wake him up. You have a patient. He's like, I don't see patients anymore. I know. I'll tell her to get the fuck out. She goes to tell her to get the fuck out. And she's not there anymore. Then he starts to feel the heart attack and he can't find his medicine. So they think whoever the patient was stole the medicine.
Right. Yep.
And then he dies. Yeah.
Yep. So he's dead. So now all that's left is Donnie, Fred Astaire, and the dude from the fog. Like that.
Yeah.
That's it. Um, and they now it's time to tell their story from whatever 50 years ago or
Yeah.
whatever it was. And they said, those four guys, they killed Alma 50 years ago. They are responsible for her
Which,
death.
yes and no. Here's like, yes, they killed her.
No, then yes.
No, then yes. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Mhm.
So back in the day, this time, is that okay with you, Keith, for me to say
That's
back
fine.
in the
That's
day?
fine.
Yeah. So back in the day, all four of them have the hots for her or whatever. They're all acting like the way Donnie acted when he saw her for the first time. Uh, but I guess she picks Donnie's dad. It's kind of hard to tell who some of these people are, young versions of them. I'm not sure, but I thought so.
I think that's the doctor
You think so?
because he's
I
got the
don't know.
mustache. Yeah, I don't know.
How would she pick the doctor? He's the
But
least of the three. I don't mean like attractiveness wise. I mean like he doesn't do it. He's not the dad, and he's already dead. He's the fourth one out of the group.
but maybe it is the dad because the dad has a mustache too.
That's what I thought it was the dad.
It's but again, like, and maybe then going after the sons makes more sense because it's like a revenge ploy. But I don't know. Go ahead. You keep talking.
So so I guess she picks this one. I'm going to say it's his dad. She picks his dad, and they go to hook up, but he can't get it up. But he lies to his buddies about hooking up with her. And, that's not a crime. Who hasn't done that, Keith? We all have.
Yeah.
I mean, totally.
I told my friends the other day I hooked up with a ghost lady.
Yeah. So then all four of the guys get drunk and they go to her house. And she's clearly like not happy that they're all there in the middle of the night, drunk.
And her house is the house on the poster.
Yes. And it's the abandoned house that Fred Astaire went to earlier that the squatters were out. But she gets mad and she's clearly going to tell the other guys what really happened with Donnie's dad, how they didn't have sex. But Donnie's dad tries to stop her and he like pushes her out of the way or something. And she hits her head on the wall and quote dies.
Yeah.
And they're all freaking out, and they decide they have to like hide the body. They've got to get rid of her. Cause I think, they're obviously rich white people. They have big plans. One of them wants to be a congressman. They want to be all these.
One of them wants to be president. They're talking about all their
exactly. So
yeah.
They can't. This cannot mess up their careers. So they decide to. They put her in her car and they're going to bury the car like in the lake. And I do think this was cool. As the car was going under, she wakes up.
Yeah.
And she's trying to like get out, like she's banging on the thing as the car's going down.
Yeah.
And all the guys saw that.
Yeah.
So that was pretty cool. Had they just, called the police or took her, she would have been fine, you would think. But they all four technically are responsible for her death now.
Yeah.
I mean, it's true. Now we're back to the present. And the three guys that are remaining that decide to go to the abandoned house. I can't remember why. They have an explanation, but just to see what's up, I can't remember.
I think they're trying to see if she's there because when homeless greaser was there, he was talking about we work for the lady upstairs. I don't know if that's the connection. I think that's one of the problems with this movie is that like the substance is there, but the connections aren't as strong about why they do things. But
Right.
but they wind up going to the house, which seems to have no roads directly connected to this house whatsoever. It seems like it's a hike in the middle of a barren wasteland. So,
Yes. And at the house, Donnie falls through the stairs and he fucks up his leg. He can't even walk on it.
well, thank fucking God it wasn't Fred Astaire because A, the most important legs in history. B, it would have killed that fucking old man if he took that fall. Any of those old men.
Yes. And so he can't move. So the fog guy, the guy from the fog decides to go and get help.
Yeah.
But Fred Astaire is going to stay with him, and he drives off. And as he drives off, Alma's in the middle of the road, and he swerves and wrecks, and it seems like he's dead. Like, he is dead by the I guess, but
Yeah.
it's not really 100% clear. He just wrecks, and it's almost just like he goes into a snowdrift or something.
Yeah, but that same truck driver from earlier also witnesses this. So I just like that truck driver's like, I'm having the worst fucking week. Like,
real fast, I would tell you this truck driver story real fast. I had jury duty, and we're all back there, and we're not supposed to deliberate yet.
yeah.
I'm going off the rails here, but we're not supposed to deliberate yet. So they're like, "Can we talk about the case?" And they're like, "No, you're not allowed to talk about the case till it's over. We can't, talk about it till they're completely done or whatever." And this truck driver's like, "Well, we got to talk about something. Let's what do y'all want to talk about? Let's what does everybody do for a living?" And like they go through, and everybody's like just saying little things about themselves. It gets back around to him, and he goes, "Yeah, about 15 years ago, I killed a man. Drove over him with my truck. That day hadn't went by. I hadn't thought about that."
Jesus Christ. Jesus fucking Christ.
Yes. Like he wanted to tell that story
so bad.
So bad.
What a weird thing to want to tell
Yes.
anyone. I would become a tragically flawed character and never talk about it to anyone unless I'm sleeping with them. And then I wake up in the middle of the night crying about it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So anyway, that's my tangent or whatever. So I like to think of it's the same guy.
Probably.
He's all he's doing it. So the fog guy's dead. Fred Astaire decides to go for help now. And as he walks out of the house, the squatter's back. He pulls up in his car.
Well, we don't know it's the squatter yet.
That's true, because Fred Astaire's like, "Thank God, somebody showed up," or whatever. And I can't remember what the squatter says to him, but Fred Astaire is basically like just pulls out a knife and stabs him.
So the squatter's like, she promised me eternal life. All I have to do is get you to the water or something like that. And then Fred Astaire just fucking singing in the rain, gacks him in the chest with a knife and shivs him.
So the car wrecks, because the squatter was the guy driving. But back at the house now, Alma shows up and she's wearing a wedding gown, and she's like slowly approaching Donnie, who can't move. He's basically immobile. But this is weird to me too. Again, it's a weird structure. The police show up to help Fred Astaire, and Fred Astaire knows that his buddy his legs messed up. He left to actually go get help, but he does not send anyone there.
No.
They go straight to the lake to pull this car out. Now, in hindsight, that's a good move.
Yeah, great move. Problem is, like, timeline-wise, when you're dealing with the police or any public servant, it takes a long time to get anything done. I imagine it took 4 days for them to get the truck out there to the lake. And so how long are those fucking stairs that Alma's trying to get down? You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, it's like everybody shows up that's needed and they go straight to the lake.
Yeah.
Again, it doesn't make sense, but
at all.
So Alma's confronting Donnie. She's come for him, she grabs him, but it's like a decomposed hand, kind of gross stuff. But and this is cut between the car coming slowly out of the lake.
Yeah.
Back to the house, back to the car. They get the car out of the lake. Fred Astaire opens the door and her decomposed body falls out.
Which is cool, like her, because it's like the skin is still on it, but it's disconnected and it falls off, which is a cool look.
Yeah, it looked cool for sure. Yeah. And then back at the house with Donnie, she just disappears. That's the end of Ghost Story.
Yeah. Yeah. A little anticlimactic.
Yeah. But like I said, good move going to get the car out without sending people to help your buddy.
Absolutely.
Very smart.
Well, to be fair, the house is in the middle of a wasteland, so they would have to walk. There's no roads there. Like, here's my thing. I think I like this movie, but I also think I don't like the movie. Like, I think it's fine. It's a movie. I think it's a cool story. I like the actors in it. I think everybody does a great job, but it feels like it's lacking something. You know what I mean? Like it's just not complete. It feels
Yeah,
like.
there's no, it's like this missing cohesiveness, just like
Yeah,
putting it all together. I really,
yeah,
it's just a weird structure. It's just, and this is the other thing too. I mean, I'm not saying this is right off the heels of us watching The Changeling, but to a degree, it's off the heels, and
it changes
The Changeling
better.
is far superior.
Far superior. I agree completely. I think this has the potential to be something great, but I just don't think it's there. And as far as whether it deserves to be on this list, I don't think it's not the worst thing on this list by far. I would take fucking Motel Hell off of this before I took this off. But I don't think you have to see it. It's not a must see for me. What
Yeah,
about you?
I agree. Yeah, I don't think it's a must see. Um, I mean, again, if it's on the list, then it's like kind of okay. Some of these
Yeah.
things, what we've said in the past is this doing what it does for the first time? And then now we think it's kind of boring and we've seen it 1,000 times because we have,
Yeah.
because maybe it started with this, but that's what I mean by The Changeling is to me far superior. But I will say this movie also, like The Changeling, felt very 70s to me, not 80s
Yeah.
uh, at
Yeah.
all. It felt 70s. I also feel like if Fred Astaire is the quote hero, or he's the guy that saves the day, I would have definitely had him back in the day when he was younger, had him more against what they were doing. Like, he's the guy. He should be at every turn. This is not right. We don't need to be doing this. Stop,
Or
like
like
all the time. He should have tried to run into the water and they held him back. Like,
absolutely.
he needs to
Absolutely.
be the hero back then to a degree, and still eats at him this entire time.
Or flip that and have him more of the guy holding somebody back. So now when it comes out of the water, I want to hear him verbally confess, I killed that girl. You know what I mean? And
That's
that's
fine
when
too.
her spirit goes away. Because it feels like there is, yeah, it's uncovered, but is he going to go to jail for it? Because he should, because I want that justice. Like that's what it's about. Like I think the story is an old type of story. We see it with like Star of Echoes or even the Changeling. But I think the idea of Fred Astaire being that character, that's sort of interesting. I don't know how he was viewed at the time period, but to me, he is singing in the rain guy, right? He is this
Absolutely.
esteemed sort of figure. So to make him a murderer, that's kind of crazy. That's kind of interesting and cool. And I think more could have been done with that. And I wonder if he was revered the same way at the time, and that's what made this movie important, was you were now making a bad guy out of a hero. You know what I mean? I don't know.
But even if they did, it's like you said, they didn't go far enough with it then.
Agreed. Agreed.
I feel like that if, again, if you go my route where he's doing all that stuff, like trying to stop it, then you're let off the hook to a degree if you don't reveal that he's going to jail.
Yeah.
Because then you're kind of like, well, yeah, he was there, but he did not want any of this to happen. He was trying to stop
Yeah.
it. So it's kind of okay. Conversely, your way, it's Fred Astaire, and he's the quote bad guy of the whole thing. And then he's definitely going, yeah, both of those things would work. But back in the day, you don't know who each of them are. Like one guy, he kind of looked like a young Fred Astaire, so I would guess that was him.
Yeah.
But it's not really 100% clear
And
who these guys are.
and I wonder too, like part of this that makes it feel like it's 70s to me is the fact that it is sort of like a testament to an age when we're like, hey, our leaders aren't who the fuck we think they are. These people in charge are corrupt. And it's like sort of pointing at, and I like that idea. I like that in the story, but again, it doesn't go far enough for me. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Yep.
That being said, one of the things we do is we do Funko Pops of the movie. What do you got for this one?
This one's kind of tough.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not really like there's nothing in this movie that's kind of iconic to the movie to me.
Agreed. Agreed.
I mean, I guess I'd put her in the wedding dress and then maybe give her some decomposed hands because, I mean, that's the dream. She's wanting to get married. She shows up at the end. That would be, what I would do or whatever, but nothing's really jumping out at me. How about you?
Yeah, it's the same. Nothing in this movie is iconic visually to me. But I guess I would do wedding dress with one boob out, and then and like part of her skin falling off on her face, right?
Yep.
Just so you get all the best elements. Now, the other thing we do is we talk about remaking this movie. How would you remake Ghost Story?
Real fast before I tell you about Remake, what was your letterbox score? Mine was 2.5.
I think mine was 3.5. Oh God, I dropped everything. Oh,
3.5. Oh my gosh, Keith.
look, I think the movie has a lot of promise. I just think it's poor execution. Let me see what I wrote.
You did drop everything. At least you didn't go straight to your groin like what happens every time Rob drops his.
Let me see. I might even give it more. No, 3.5. Right on 3.5.
You might have given it more than you thought. Oh my Lord.
The time has come to tell the tale. I also didn't like the fact that we get a couple of stories, but it's the only time we cut away to the ghost stories is at the very beginning, and then when Donnie is telling the story, and then when they're telling their story. So I guess that's the rules of 3, but I would like more ghost stories actually in it,
Yep. All right, so basically my remake, it's just a movie. It's almost going to be a straight remake, but
Yeah.
I'd fix a lot of the stuff. Alma would be played by Jennifer Lawrence,
Ooh, okay.
and Donnie is Matt Smith.
Oh,
And then just a couple old dudes like Anthony Hopkins and would be Donnie's dad.
just a couple old dudes.
Yeah, and Ian McKellen, as far as the Fred Astaire role.
Oh, great. Yeah.
He's revered,
Yeah.
kind of like that. Like I said, it's a straight remake, but I would definitely fix the structure. Basically, what I would do is I'd start the movie with Donnie meeting this girl and falling for her and then wanting to get married. And maybe there's just a few things that are a little off.
Yeah.
And then he actually goes to his hometown to get married. And that's when the old guys see her for the first time. And we see their reaction to seeing her for the first time. And then they're freaking out. And then they start dying one by one. Like how, we don't know, because it's a ghost type thing. And then when the flashback happens, it's back to, the 50 years ago, but it's not near as long. It's very condensed with what it was. But I would have, as I mentioned, Ian McKellen's character be the one trying to stop this all from happening, so that you feel okay, you feel good about him revealing everything at the end. That's what I would do. Very similar story,
Yeah. So I think I would remake it as well, pretty much as a straight remake. Here's my cast. As Alma, I have Samara Weaving.
Awesome.
As Donnie, I have Sean Ashmore, and then his brother Aaron Ashmore as the older brother, or as the twin brother. As their dad, I would want Mandy Patinkin. And then my other 3 old men would be David Strathern as the Fred Astaire part, Stephen Root as the Fog part, and then Ernie Hudson as the doctor part, right? And I think I would leave the structure, because I think the structure can be kind of fun if you work on some of those connective tissue aspects a little bit more. And I would make it so that way when Alma dies, quote unquote, it's sort of like they're all drunk and one of them is upset with her and the others are kind of playing. And one of those wants to fuck her and one of those just thinks they're pushing and having fun, blah, blah, blah. So almost all of them have a hand in the actual fall. And then they all have a hand in the actual water thing. And then at the end, there would be that declaration from Strathern, we killed her, blah, 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 like that sort of thing. So you get more of a sense of it and coming to terms and admitting what's been done. But other than that, I think it plays out the same, just maybe finding some more of those iconic moments that you could milk from it and trying to find some motivations behind some stuff. Because I think the bones are there. I just think you're missing the flesh of the piece. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I definitely think the bones are there. Absolutely. One of the things you mentioned too when you were casting, Sean and Aaron Ashmore, in mine there wouldn't be a twin or even a brother, just because I just felt like it was almost unnecessary. Like that.
Yeah.
there's no reason to even have a twin brother.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like, yeah, I know he came back because his brother died. There could be any reason for
Well,
somebody.
I mean, just because he's
to be
getting
coming.
married, that shortens it there.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly. That's why he's coming back. He's getting married. And again, it was such an awkward scene to be like, I had sex with her, with his fiance.
but I think that's like, so part of the reason I would want to keep the brother in is it makes Alma seem like she's being extra vindictive. I'm taking away not only you, but everything you've ever loved. B, I think there's something there to the idea of making Donnie so unlikable at the beginning. And then you realize he's not crazy. He's not an asshole. There's a reason for what he's saying. And he was trying to tell his dad, but his dad didn't even want to hear it. And then third, I got to get that penis shot in there. Like, I got to get the Ashmore dick bump, right? Just to get everything going.
You said something interesting there. Not the penis thing.
Okay, really?
To make him unlikable. Did you ever eventually like Donnie? Did you like Donnie in this movie?
I mean, towards the end, I saw what he was trying to do. Like, I see the reasoning behind why he doesn't want to marry her. I still think he goes about it the dick way, but I think that's only because something wasn't written out clearly. You know what I mean?
Right.
By the end of it, I think you can make him more likable. Like, if, say, she's coming down the stairs and he's like, I'm sorry what they did to you. I'm sorry what I did to you. Like, have that be a moment, you know?
Because I feel like I was on Team Alma the entire time, basically. Like, really?
It's the Borg queen. Yeah, absolutely. Kill them all. Like, but I feel
resistance is futile.
Absolutely. But I feel you would feel less that way if Ernie Hudson was one of the old guys. Because everybody loves Winston.
Yeah, he's awesome. Yeah.
So,
and again, Fred Astaire is one of the old guys. He's not one of our guys because, he's older than our generation.
Yeah.
Maybe that's what that was accomplishing, like you're saying.
Yeah.
Having Fred Astaire, one of the guys.
Yeah. I don't know. I think it's an interesting movie. Just not my favorite, but interesting. But what are and listener out there, you may be wondering why we chose this instead of The Howling, but that's just because Chad wants to put off all of his energy later for werewolf movies. He wants to save it all up to really be able to explore that. Howling wasn't streaming anywhere, so that's why we didn't watch it.
We decided to push that one, and we're going to push it again because our next one, we're getting ready. We're in September. Next month is October. 1981, John Carpenter's Halloween 2.
Yeah, that's my favorite of the original Carpenter ones. Do you like?
When you say the original Carpenter ones,
I mean the original Halloween, the first. I separate Halloween into 3 eras. Carpenter's incorporates everything up until Resurrection. Then you have the zombies. Then you have the bullshits.
Okay.
So of the Carpenters, 2 is my favorite.
All right, this should be interesting. I mean, I'm a fan of 2 as well. We'll get into it.
Yeah,
but that'll be the next film, just in time for the spooky season.
I'm super excited. It's great. So yeah, by that point we'll do 19 Not Quite Darknesses before we get one Not Quite Cool in the bag this year.
Exactly.
So until then, where can the people find you, Chad?
Twitter X NQC Podcast.
Awesome. And if you're looking for me, you can find me in the Not Quite Darkness.
Peace.
Michael K.